Now it's time to get to the practical information. What position should you actually sleep in? What body parts should be where, and what's best for you? Now, there are basically 3 body positions you're going to sleep in. You can break it down more complicated, but it's either going to be on your front, your side, or your back. Now, within those 3, you could argue that there are lots of positives and negatives for each of them. Now, in the process of putting this video together, I've seen some other videos which have said, do not sleep in this particular position with the wrong arguments being applied to it. So I'd suggest that you have 2 simple rules in mind when you are considering, are you sleeping well, could you sleep better? And for you specifically, what would be the position that serves you best? The first main thing is, with your spine, is it well supported? So whether you're sleeping on your back, your side, or your front, is your spine supported in a way that there are no pressure points, rotation points, or putting you in a twisted position which is not neutral for your spine? Because all of those negative things are going to build up over time. You shouldn't obviously be waking in the morning with back pain. It indicates either your sleep position is not great and or your mattress is not the right thing. That topic, the mattress itself, is going to be covered in several videos. It's a big topic and there's lots of information to cover. Look forward to those in the series. Point number 2, you need to breathe through your nose. No matter what position you sleep in, this is where you need to focus. The reason for this is if you're breathing through your mouth, you're not filtering the air correctly, which is one of the primary reasons to breathe through your nose. When that happens, then the air that does get in and around your nose and into your sinuses causes congestion, potentially inflammation, and can lead to all sorts of ongoing chronic problems in the nasal area. So you need to breathe through your mouth, and that is going to be affected by the position you sleep in. So let's get on to the main stuff. How should you sleep? I've seen some advice that says the only position you should sleep in is on your back, and without any basic argument that makes sense to support that, or very restricted ideas for that reasoning. And so if you are a back sleeper, which is a good thing, it's not a problem. However, there are some important things you need to keep in mind. Firstly, is it is neutral for your spine. That's a positive. It's relaxing. It keeps you out of flexion, which we do most of the day because we're sitting. And so it helps elongate your body and brings you into more extension as opposed to perhaps the fetal position, which is more of a flexion position. So that's some of the positives. It can be a problem if your pillow is too high, because of course it's going to force your head up too much. So the type of pillow that you're going to use is going to vary, and I'm going to talk about pillow selection in a separate video. If you are sleeping on your back, you might also find that depending on your body shape, which parts are bigger, thicker, wider, heavier, how you sleep on your mattress might also put pressure into, for example, your low back, if your legs are forcing your back into extension, into lordosis. And for many people, it's more comfortable to slip a small pillow under the knees just to take the pressure off. Now, there is one big negative of sleeping on your back, and I'm sure many of you are affected by this, and that's snoring. Because if you look at the anatomy of what causes snoring, it's a relaxed position at the back of the throat, causing the airways to close up so that when you breathe, it causes to vibrate. Now, there's another form of condition called sleep apnea, which if you look at the 2 pictures, which I'll show you just now, you're going to see that these 2 photos, these 2 pictures, indicate exactly the same thing. What this means is that if you are a snorer, what you have is a light grade noisy form of sleep apnea. It just so happens that your breathing doesn't stop, which is the medical problem with sleep apnea, because you have lots of interrupted patches where you're not actually breathing at all, and it's actually quite a medical problem. However, if you're sleeping on your back, it is the worst position for both of these conditions. And so if that is an issue for you, one thing you need to look at is how can you keep your mouth closed so that you force yourself to breathe through the nose. That's the main issue with back sleeping. There are different options with your arms. Perhaps they're crossed on your chest, perhaps up over your head, down by your side. None of those are going to make much of a difference, except that if you have shoulder problems, sleeping like this could aggravate some of those shoulder conditions like impingement. Let's move on. If you're a side sleeper is really loved by people because it reminds you of your childhood. You're on your side. It's comfortable, it's relaxing. Some of the positives about it is your body is, with a good mattress, nicely neutral if you're looking from the side, that there's no sort of ups and downs in terms of how your spine is lying. You need to have a better pillow so that your head is held in alignment with your spine and not somehow dropping off to one side. It's much easier to breathe if you're having troubles with insomnia, or if you have troubles with snoring or I keep on saying schlaf apnea, sleep apnea, then this is a better position for you. Also, if you have stomach reflux, acid reflux, side lying is definitely recommended. And of course, if you're pregnant, you can't lie on your back in late stages, so sleeping on your side is absolutely a good thing to do. There are some arguments to say sleeping on your side is too reminiscent of sitting, of flexion, that it causes the muscles to shorten. I have to say, I'm sorry, that's complete rubbish. A muscle doesn't shorten just because it's not an intention. A muscle requires stimulation to shorten and stay that way. It would mean that your muscles are tense while you're sleeping, and that is not the case. The muscles are like, if you like, soft rubber bands. They're just lying there. So they're not going to shorten just because you're sleeping in that position. Feel free to sleep on your side. Perhaps you're tucked in, perhaps you're stretched out, your arms are out in front. Perhaps if you find your arms are under your head, it could be that your pillow is not high enough. You might need to play with the pillow height. Again, I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. So that's side sleeping. Let's move on. If you'd asked me up until about last year, should I sleep on my front, I would have said no, no way. And the reason for that is that I've always focused on the negatives of what sleeping on your front is all about. But there are some major positives. And you might have noticed in terms of health response, and if you're having trouble breathing at night, lying on your front actually allows your breathing, your airways, your throat to open up. It is the least most likely position that you're going to have trouble with snoring, because everything is hanging relaxed as it should and is not going to restrict airflow. And so for breathing, it is the best position, absolute, no question asked. However, if you're sleeping on your front, the question is, what are you doing with your body? Because your head is going to have to be turned to one side. That could put a lot of pressure onto your jaw, depending on how you're positioning yourself. If your arms are up here, then you could be creating some tension into your shoulders. And again, depending on what your legs are doing, if they're straight, then that's probably okay. Your feet will not probably hang off the edge of the bed. However, if one foot is angled up, then it's going to cause all sorts of pelvic twisting and rotation. So there are lots of spinal reasons not to sleep on your front, but there are definitely some positive health, breathing related issues, while sleeping on your front is actually a really good thing to do. If you are, you're probably going to find a very slight pillow is going to be beneficial, just to give you a little bit of support and take the pressure off your jaw, because what you don't want to do is generate jaw problems through sleeping this way. Babies do it, it's completely healthy, it's completely normal. It's just in adults, just because we're bigger, we have different body shapes. For women, obviously with breasts, that can change how your body position is when you're sleeping, and all of these things play a role, and that's why there is no one position that is ideal for everybody. And as I said at the start, every position has its pros and cons. You can work through these, and taking into account the information that's coming in the videos about mattresses and pillows, to make a decision about how you should sleep and what's better for you. Pass this message on, this video on. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.